this is Lisa with Holland Designs Crochet. Today I am going to be telling you a story. This is Crochet story time, and this story has to do with something that happened on my wedding day 16 years ago. If you see the photo here, you can see I wore a crocheted lace vest or top that I made for myself, and I used just a crochet cotton that I purchased at the time at Hobby Lobby. So I was living in Oklahoma, and I found 5 balls of crochet cotton for $1 a piece. So they were all on sale. So I got five balls, and so my lace vest cost me $5 US. And I crocheted this top over a matter of months. And it was something that was a labor of love, and I was making it for my wedding. But at that time, I didn't know specifically when I was getting married or all the details, since I was still living in America at the time. And my husband was living in New Zealand. So there were some immigration issues and things like that you have to work out, things that are a little bit complicated sometimes. And so I was working on this vest and planning ahead. So I had plenty of time to do this. But I did complete it in a matter of months, and I used a pattern that I had found in an old crochet magazine. I think it was Old Time Crochet that I had for several years. And I will link to that pattern. It's available on Ravelry. So the original design was just a pineapple lace vest, but I modified it to have capped sleeves because I like the looks of the Regency era. So I think Emma and Jane Austen, I like those types of styles. And at the time when I was looking for a wedding dress, this was in 2007, that particular style that I wanted was just not available. And of course you could have something custom made, but I wasn't really looking to do that. So I thought I would just do it myself and make the vest myself. So I added cap sleeves to it, and I made it longer so it would fall lower. My actual dress at the time, I found it at Ross. So if you're in the States, you're familiar with the discount chain Ross. And I found my dress, I think it was $20 or $19.99. So that's how much I spent on the dress itself. And then it was just slightly short for what I wanted. So I sewed some lace on it myself as well. So this is my wedding dress, my outfit. Actually, the most expensive thing that I wore that day was my veil. I think that cost me about $60 New Zealand. So you remember those details, how much things cost. And we were just trying to save money as a young couple. We weren't looking to spend a ton of money on a wedding, but we wanted to be classy. And sometimes handmade and doing things yourself actually adds a lot of value to your day rather than just, spending a lot of money on something that you'll regret maybe later. You wish you had that money in the bank to start your new life together. So this is what it looked like on the wedding day here in New Zealand 16 years ago. And there's more to the story. So I'm going to do a little stitch demo for you and show you how to make a rose, a crocheted rose, and tell you the story of what happened the morning of my wedding. Here's another close-up look at the wedding top that I made. And you can see the pineapple lace. So I'm going to begin to show you how to make a crocheted rose. And I basically made a flower very similar to this on my wedding day, on the morning of our wedding. And it wasn't because I love to crochet so much that I just had to get my crocheting done on my wedding day. No, that was not the reason. It was because I needed to make a rose. And so basically what happened was, the morning of my wedding, I decided that I needed to press my dress. So my skirt was slightly wrinkled, and I decided I needed to iron it. So I just went about doing that like I would ironing anything else, any other type of garment, and didn't consider that perhaps this wedding dress was made out of a material that needed a little bit more care. And so I ended up burning a hole in the back of my wedding dress above the hemline, so a few inches above the hem. And I was, of course, horrified that I had done this, but rather than having a meltdown, I simply decided to fix the situation and solve the problem by crocheting a little lace rose and sewing it over the hole. And I never told anyone, I didn't tell my bridesmaids, and I didn't have actually any family at my wedding because I was in New Zealand and my family was all in the States and they couldn't make it for the wedding. So I didn't tell anyone, but when I actually was at the altar getting married, there were some ladies in the audience who noticed the rose and assumed it was an on-purpose embellishment and were looking for other roses on my dress. So they never did know the story. But now I'm going to tell the whole world basically, right? So I'm going to demonstrate for you how to make a little crocheted rose, and I'm going to write the pattern up as well. So I will link to that. It'll be a free download in my Ravelry library, so you can have the written pattern as well. And I'll just go ahead and demonstrate this for you. And I'm discovering as I'm telling you the story that I cannot crochet and count and tell you a story at the same time. So basically what I've done so far is I've made a chain 4. I joined with a slip stitch to form a ring. I did a chain 2, and now I am beginning to work double crochets. So I have up to 11, including my starting chain 2, and this is my 12th double crochet. And I'm going to just join with a slip stitch to the top of the beginning chain 2, and that is my round 1 of 12 double crochets. Okay, I've already worked rounds 2 and 3. So round 2 is just simply 12 single crochets, and then round 3 is alternating between chain 3 loops and chain 5 loops. So you simply work chain 3, slip stitch in the next single crochet, chain 5, slip stitch in the next single crochet. And you repeat that around so that at the end you have, as I have here, 6 chain 3 loops and 6 chain 5 loops. And these loops will form the foundation of the petals, the flower petals that we'll be working as we continue. All right, round 4, I'm going to begin with a slip stitch in the first chain 3 loop, then do chain 2, and then work 3 double crochets all in the same space. Then we work chain 2 and slip stitch back into that same loop. So that is a petal that we've just made. And then I'm going to skip the chain 5 and push that to the back of my work so that it's out of the way at the back of my work, and then slip stitch into the next chain 3. Again, chain 2 and work 3 double crochets in the same loop. Chain 2, slip stitch in the same space. You can see we've worked now 2 petals, and at the back of our work we have the chain 5 loop that's waiting there for when we come back on the next round. So I'll just complete this round and then come back and show you how it looks. All right, I'm just at the end of round 4, and so I'm going to join with a slip stitch at the base of the first petal that I worked here, so that my last chain 5 loop goes to the back of my work again, and I just slip stitch to join. So you can see how it's kind of made it curve up somewhat, which is what I wanted it to do. And now I've got these chain 5 loops. I have 6 of them on the back of my work. So I'm going to want to work into these, and I'm simply going to turn my work over and grab this next chain 5 loop and slip stitch in it. So basically just moving my hook over into that chain 5 loop. And now I'm going to do a chain 2 and again work some double crochet stitches. So I'm doing 2 double crochets, and then I'm going to do 3 triple or treble crochets. I always call them triple crochets, so that's what I'm going to call them. So I've got my third one, and then 2 more double crochets, and then a chain 2, and again a slip stitch in the same loop. So that is a larger petal that I've just created there. And then I'm just going to move on and slip stitch into the next chain 5 loop at the back, and again work another petal the same way. So chain 2, 2 double crochets, and 3 triple crochets, and then 2 more double crochets. And then finally chain 2 and slip stitch again into the same chain 5 space. So you can see our loops starting to form there and how they're nicely layered as well. So I'll complete this round and then show you how we continue from here. All right, I've completed my rows, and I like this particular design because the center is big enough that you can also then put a button in the center and, you know, sew it on to embellish something. Not a wedding dress, hopefully, but embellish something that you're making by sewing that button on there as well. I'm just going to fasten off. Okay, so that is our completed flower. And another option for this is simply to make a smaller flower and then layer that in the center. So in the pattern, I'll include the instructions for just a simple small flower that you can put in the center, that you can layer these and sew them together on, you know, a hat or whatever you like to add them to. The last part of the story about my wedding dress is represented here in this baby dress that I made for our daughter Holland, and she was born in 2008, so she's 15 years old this month, and this dress is the same age as her, basically 15 years old, and you can see it is still in beautiful condition. It's been through 3 daughters, and it will get passed down to the next generation. The lace at the edge of the skirt here is from my wedding dress. So I basically took the lace off the bottom of my dress and sewed it to this baby dress. And this is a very romantic, vintage tradition. I would have read about something like this in a novel or in books from 100 years ago, where ladies would often recycle or remake dresses. They didn't have access to fabrics or laces as commonly as we do now, so they could not just simply go buy something at the store or access fabric, and so they would often remake dresses. And this is what I did with the lace from my wedding dress. And I'm really pleased that I did this because very often a wedding dress will get tucked away in a closet and perhaps it'll get passed on to the next generation, but often it has to be remade to fit, and also the styles can change over time. So this baby dress will be popular, I think, into the next generation. And again, it's been used already, and it's just pretty to have hanging up in the wardrobe to look back on. I will include a photo of my daughter Holland wearing this as well, so you can see actually what it looks like. And the pattern is a free download. It's available in my Ravelry store, so you can go ahead and get this as well.